And now part C. In this part, we would talk about three things. Number one, essential qualifications for pursuing a fuller lifestyle. Number two, practicals for fuller life. And number three, the enemies of health, peace and prosperity. Just to give you a hint about that. Of course, detailed discussions will follow. 10 essential qualifications for pursuing a fuller lifestyle, FLS, are: number one, commitment and devotion to goal and FCLM. This requires considerable amount of willpower, strong willpower, and of course determination. This is a very typical character of certain people. This renders them fit for this line, because commitment and continuous commitment to not only goal which is fixed from time to time, and FCLM, fully competent living master, that is most essential. Secondly, he must be keen learner, balanced and alert. Alertness is very important because this has to be developed step by step. Number three, disciplined, a serviceable person. This is required because service cuts across ego, vanity, which is the very antithesis of spirituality. And it has been time and again reiterated by ancient scholars and even incarnates. Number four, ambivert, i.e., the person must be a suitable mix of introvert and extrovert. That means internally thinking over, internally living, plus having an interactional life with others also. It must be a suitable mix of both. Number five, resourceful. He must be a resourceful person because he has to live a proper life on this earth. Number six, open-minded with positive attitudes. There is no scope, no place for negative-minded people. 7, he must be respectful and obedient to FCLM and wise people. Wise people is also important because a lot of feedback is given or information is given by wise people around us. We must be open-minded for them. Number 8, reasonably intellectual. I say reasonably because this is not an intellectual exercise. Intellectual means he must use his wisdom, his sense of proportion, his logic, his arguments. This is important, but not beyond a limit. Only up to a limit that is permissible. Beyond a limit, it becomes intellectual gymnastics, which is the sure antithesis of spirituality. Number 9, vegetarian and unaddicted. We will see later on why it is so essential. But take it word from me that vegetarianism is the first and foremost requirement for leading a spiritual and pious life. And number 10, single with manageable family. Many of you will be surprised over it. Sometimes the family is the biggest hindrance to spiritual life because not all the members of the family share the same attitudes, same goals. Even if they happen to be on the same path, their interests may clash, their egos may clash, their requirements may clash, their vested interests would come in conflict, with the result that the true seeker, that the true disciple is bound to get astray. So it must be a manageable family, smaller the better. Say husband, wife, and 1 or 2 children maximum. And of course, no unwanted relations here and there, in-laws and all those, and cousins and all cousins. That is all wastage of precious resources. The person must have reasonable freedom from worldly worries. Worrying is necessary for success or for gathering resources, but over-worrying is what is required to be curbed. So actually he must be a young person, between 20 to 40 years of age, preferably, which is the best age and ripe age for learning things, for improving, for putting down a strong foothold on bad habits already earned, and so on and so forth. Now, there are certain nota benes. First, these are relaxable to some extent in cases otherwise well qualified. If you lack any, first cultivate that. That is very important. I mean, so try to prepare yourself for the entrance examination for, or entrance test for, getting into the spiritual path. Number B, remember, very important caution, remember that only the deserving get the best. There is little scope for compromise for mediocres. This brings us to an important second portion of this part. Practicals for fuller life are of two types. Number one, spiritual external practices for modulating lifestyle. Many of our actions may be affecting spiritual pursuits. That has to be properly groomed up, properly curved up. Number two, internal exercises. Meditations on holy code. Meditations on holy code. Starting from body's death point or lowest black hole on the spiritual path, SP. Through developing extrasensory perceptions, ESP, extrasensory perceptions of universes beyond our existences, to attain true summum bonum of human life. About meditations we will be discussing a lot in subsequent videos, because this is a subject which has not been properly understood. Sitting cross-legged is not meditation. With closed eyes it is not meditation. Many people think that it is meditation. No, it is neither spiritual nor worldly even. It is just some kind of a passing time or relaxing technique. I studied a book on meditations and medication. It was pointed out in that some tests were carried out on the body of a person who was sitting on meditations, and it showed lowering of blood pressure, lowering of breathing, lowering of temperature, body temperature. Well, I'm sorry, this is not a medical exercise. We don't care about these things. Our care is for something extraordinary, something internal development. So meditations on holy code, they start from body's death point, when body starts dying, or lowest black hole on the spiritual path, SP, through developing extrasensory perception. Now, very, very difficult to develop extrasensory. Some people may be gifted, astrologically gifted for this kind of thing, faculty. But we have to develop it consciously and in a planned manner for some particular purpose, for attaining some particular prefixed goal. Again, some notes. Number one, religion, caste, etc. are no bar to fuller life. These are no bar to fuller life. But astrological and environmental factors do determine the initiation and progress on the spiritual path. We will see later how. Number two, one has not to give up the world, but has to optimize and well manage social relationships and interactions as per the directions of the FCLM, who alone can decide which is better for the spiritual progress of the disciple. Number three, donations, pilgrimages, and rituals generally do not give better, fuller, or peaceful life. They are either mere entertainment, wastages of precious resources, or self-befooling, error or involving unnecessary stresses, avoidable stresses. But 99.9% people are involved into all this. They have no other option. They have no other way out. That is all they can do. And feel very much satisfied that we are trying to develop ourselves. No, certainly no. Number 4, emotionalism, hysterics, and off-handing result into miseries ultimately. So always avoid superstition, ignorance, indulgences, and false hopes causing frustrations, depression, and wastages. Your first duty is towards yourself. Develop maturity, health, maintain health, good health, and as much as possible for all times to come. Positive personality, balanced life, balanced and restrained life, no excesses allowed, and good citizenry. This is very, very important. Earlier the better in life. And work up steadily for the grand finale of life. The last portion of this part is about important enemies of health, peace, and prosperity. Number 1, indiscipline. Less said, better understood. Number 2, lack of rationality, restraint, and other regard. We must not be selfish. The more selfish we are, the more miserable shall we be. Number 3, lose character. 4, eat, drink, and marry only. 5, hurry, worry, and carry only. These 2 can be allowed only with restraint and within limits. They cannot be allowed beyond the limits. Excesses in this respect is sure to ruin yourself. Number 6, adulterated, overtaken food, water, air, and medicines. And now some few more very important ones. 7, lazy, negligent, casual, undutiful, negative traits with fixed ideas, credulous nature, and selfishness. Number 8, tensions, stresses, anxiety overloads. Number 9, lack of proper regular exercises, rest, and basic need satisfaction. This is of utmost importance. Number 10, non-vegetarian food, drinking, smoking, addictions, and licentious living. Now these 4 traits, they have become ubiquitous vices in modern materialistic age, and the results are quite well known. Health problems, family problems, even involvement with law and order situations. That is generally the result of such indulgences, and they are surely the worst enemies of health, peace, and prosperity. Please note, prosperity doesn't come from wealth. You may amass as much amount of wealth as you can, like Sikandar the emperor, Alexander the emperor, but ultimately it will be a big duck. All that wealth is just waste, it is just dust. It can't give you something which you require for spiritual life. We'll talk about this later on, but this is the point to be noted carefully. Now certainly practicing all this is no cakewalk, and possibly no cup of tea for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. A very serious, arduous, and lifelong assignment. It requires commitment, toil, learning abilities, and an organized timetable under close tutelage of the FCLM. Scientifically carried out beneficial practicals under him, and him only, with patience and devotion alone, can ensure steady progress on the SP, the true and real life after death. While one is alive and kicking here, you have to lead dual life, one here, one beyond it. But then the $1,000,000 question is how to find an FCLM. We have given you the touchstone tests for the FCLM. We have given you also the tests for isolating real, a true one from the fake ones. But then it is not an easy thing. An FCLM one who alone is alive in all knowledge, while all mortals are stuck up in deep slumber of ignorance. Slumber. Please keep praying and searching for him. In nature, there is supply for every serious demand. Interested and serious still? It must be quite boring by now. And I would like to close it and thank you that you have been bearing with me for quite some time. You are still serious? Well, time is running out fast. The end may strike any time, anywhere, and in any manner, and worst, even without notice. Reserve your locus on the SP before it. Buckle up. I wish you good luck. All the best. Adieu au revoir. So long till our next videos, our book on FSL underway that deals with such riddles as nature of nature, mechanics of life and death, creation and destruction of energies and particles, and of course, first time ever in human history, a most sensational exposition of the subconscious in action through a personal zoom in. All rights are reserved. Please wait for our next videos. Once again, I thank you and YouTube especially for facilitating all this and serving with the holy commands of Almighty. Best luck. Bye-bye.